Oye, mira. Let's talk about epistemicide. Remember this?
Howard, I will tell people this is why you never throw the baby out with the bathwater.
In case you don't know, this is Eric Weinstein. He received his PhD in mathematical physics from Harvard University and has held research positions in the mathematics, physics, and economics departments at MIT, Harvard, and Oxford University. So you can say he is a part of the institution's scientific community, although he has his problems with it.
This thing that you created is based on an error, and it's a beautiful error. And I think people are just not going to grasp it.
What's the error?
The error is that the arc cosine of minus 1/3 is not equal to 3/5 pi.
Garlic makes my feet stink.
Okay. What's going on is that inside of a tetrahedron, if I understand you correctly, I've got these vectors that point out towards the vertices. Between any two vertices, any of the four vertices, there's one of the 6 edges. What's the angle between those two vertices as measured from the center of mass inside of a tetrahedron?
Still be at 120 degrees.
No, it's the arc cosine of minus 1/3.
That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Now, you say this is an undiscovered geometry. Now, why is that an undiscovered geometry?
Well, because they gave me the patents.
No. We got to stop that with the patents.
No.
So in case you didn't get that like me the first time I heard it, it simply means the angles to make the linchpin shape don't add up. So the shape isn't 100% perfect. That's why probably Terence was the first to make it. Next, Eric explains why he finds it brilliant.
What you discovered is a little bit like even temperament. Even temperament is a lie.
Right.
You know about even temperament?
Yes.
Okay.
An attempt to modulate or keep everything, start right back at the beginning and avoid the Pythagorean comma.
The Pythagorean comma. You've got a Pythagorean comma in the middle of your linchpin.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
With 109.147.
Yes. Rather than 108.
Yes.
You bastard.
Yes.
Yeah, so I caught you.
Well,
You say the dumbest stuff about equalities, and you say the coolest stuff about geometries. And I wonder whether you mean something. Like, it took me a long time to figure out what I think you mean when you do this riff on the square root of 2.
do the same thing to start with. Turn it to the side.
Okay.
Hit the number 2.
Two.
Go to the square root.
All right. 1.4.
1.4142135623733095.
Holy
now
crap.
I want you two to do two separate things now. Two separate things. I want you to multiply it by 2, hit times 2, equal, don't you do it.
Okay.
And I want you to hit x to the third.
All right. 2.82.
2.828, 4271, 2174, 6190. The same value you got
Yeah.
by multiplying it by 2.
Yeah.
You see that loop?
Yeah.
That's saying x cubed is equal to 2x, which is equal to x plus x. That's an unnatural equation. That's a mathematical fallacy. And that's the beginning of your math.
We know what Terence Howard has been bringing to the table, and we know what Eric Weinstein and both Neil deGrasse Tyson have been saying about it. But what Eric says in this next video clip is exactly what I want you to pay attention to. Take a listen.
In other words, the danger of this stuff, right, is that when you start to see patterns and you start to see stuff that looks crazy, you don't realize what you're actually doing. What you're really saying is you're coming from a perspective that is philosophical before it's scientific or mathematical.
That is not just a throwaway line. That is a confession of epistemic gatekeeping. Epistemicide is the systemic destruction, erasure, devaluation, or replacement of entire ways of knowing, especially those rooted in Indigenous, African, diasporic, Global South, and other non-Western epistemologies, through colonial violence, institutional enforcement, and epistemic domination. It is not simply ignorance. It's intentional. It's not misunderstanding. It's strategic obliteration. This is the foundational myth of Western epistemologies. It says that science is neutral, empirical, and free from the influence of worldview, culture, or ethics. Translation: we here in the West, in North America and Europe, are right, and everybody else around the world is wrong. Epistemicide is horrifically weaponized by institutions like Harvard and MIT. What's sad is that those of us who study in this field understand that the very birth of Western science came from philosophy. Every culture's science arises from its own cosmology, from how it sees the world, spirit, body, time, and relationship. So what Eric was doing in that video, even in Neil deGrasse Tyson's analysis if you watch that video, was denying Terence's right to a cosmological framework while standing on his own. And they do this because it threatens the very livelihood of Western science. I hate to break it to you, but this is also how the system of white supremacy is so insidious and operates within Western institutions. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. When white men theorize anything within Western science, it's often seen as visionary, no matter what controversies exist in their personal lives. Einstein and Oppenheimer come to mind all the time. They're granted genius status, even when their ideas are abstract, incomplete, or quite frankly stolen from others. Their personal harm, the racism, misogyny, violence, is footnoted or romanticized as part of the complexity of brilliance. But when black or brown individuals, like Terence, like myself, present our own provable frameworks, rooted in memory, rhythm, ancestry, cosmology, it's a problem. It's pseudoscience, another colonial term weaponized against us. And then suddenly, who we are in our personal lives becomes the problem. Our credibility gets questioned, like Terrence Howard's, because of how he's chosen to live his life outside of the movie industry, outside of the science community. In no way is this me shielding what he's done and the harm he's caused through domestic violence. That is not the point of this video. Our lives become audited rather than our ideas being engaged with. This is what we call the colonial contradiction, the colonial projection. Another extremely important takeaway is the nuance that this entire conversation carries. A person, no matter how brilliant they are, can still perpetuate great harm. Black and brown people can still be agents of white supremacy, especially when operating through patriarchy and Western science. The question we're left to ask ourselves is, how much are we willing to unravel and understand the insidiousness of the system of white supremacy?